opportunity to catch up with someone I've been meaning to talk to for quite some time. The last time we spoke to her was via Zoom. Let me tell you, in the heart of COVID, that was the only way we could do things. Things have slightly changed. We've got her in the studio. Her name is Mary Aldred. Welcome.
Great to be with you, George,
in finally
person.
To see you in the flesh. It means a lot. You guys have been through a tremendous bit of turmoil. There's been so much disruption. And I don't want to keep talking about the disruption. I want to talk about the future. I want to talk about what's ahead, what's next. So many people are asking questions. We need clarity. We need a vision. Where are we getting it from? Mary?
We're running at cross purposes a little bit with some well-intentioned but not always coherently thought through ideas on how to get through this. And my big worry is actually this year is going to be a lot tougher for people than last year.
Yep.
JobKeeper's coming off. A lot of the stimulus measures that were put in place by state and federal governments are going to start to creep back. And we're just not getting people into the CBD, back supporting retail businesses. It was great. I was in Moe in Gippsland last night. It's good to see regional areas starting to bound back their experience in population growth.
Is the West Coast bustling again? Because you know, you go to Inverloch, you go to
Phillip Island.
Wherever you're going. Wonthaggi, that part of Victoria, when it's buzzing, you've got lobster festivals, you've got this, that and the other going on, and the people embrace it. And that's the one thing about regional Victoria. The region understands what local means, but somehow we've lost the vision, we've lost the courage maybe to return to the city. I know public transport, still big question mark. How do I know that? Well, there are so many cars and vehicles on the roads, and that's not good for us either. So we need to find our way. And I agree with you, 21 is going to be as tough, or if not tougher than 2020, but for different reasons. So can we get everyone on the same page? Can you see the Lord Mayor talking with the State Premier and not talking in a collegiate way, but actually talking to get things functioning, because Lord knows we need it. I mean, the city, while COVID was going on, via stealth, has been overtaken by development, by so many roadworks. We've lost car parks, or car spaces rather. So how do you expect people to come back? And then you've got the state government saying to all and sundry, except the public servants, look, if you need to stay home and you can work from home, work from home. Unless there's a clarity, unless there's a vision, unless there's a push, nothing's going to happen. People have been terrified for, nearly a year.
I think we've lost our confidence as a state and as a community, and we've got to get that mojo back.
Well, speaking of mojo, we were just about to get it back, and the state government pulled a 5-day snap lockdown. And the hospitality industry got the kick in the guts. Small business got a further kick just when they were starting to get some clarity and vision. Bang! Why? Can you tell me, Mary? Because you guys talk to governments, you talk to different organisations and associations each and every day, because that's part of what your franchise is all about. You get out there, you have all your members, and you're hopefully trying to get everyone on the same line. Why have we got so many people talking across one another?
There's some great stuff in what you've asked, and I think if I can unpack a couple of those things.
Please.
Number one, I'm a big believer in that JFK quote, which you'll remember: when the tide's high, all ships rise. So
absolutely.
I like to think, our wealth is created in our regions through our timber mills and manufacturing, and Gippsland, where I was last night, but we need a really strong, vibrant capital city to sustain all of that energy and economic value throughout the rest of the state. So we don't have international students at the moment, Victoria's biggest export industry.
Nor international travellers. The state government has chosen to pull the pin on the arrivals, because whether it's our contact tracing, whether it's our security at the so-called quarantine hotels, whatever we're doing, despite whatever they're saying, it's just not working for us. It is working across Australia. New South Wales seems to be carrying an inordinate weight that, just not surprises me. astonishes me. Why aren't we looking to those organisations and those states that are managing to keep things afloat? You know, and we're not talking politics now. We're talking about strategies.
Yeah.
Why is it working, and why have we had such upheaval in Victoria? You must have some idea, surely.
You need to be able to manage both. We've got to keep people safe. We've got a big health challenge still ahead of us to overcome, but we cannot smash the economy in doing that. And the snap lockdown that you mentioned a couple of weeks ago, February is the quietest trading month of the year. Kids are back to school. People are paying off their Christmas credit card debts. Valentine's Day is that one little ray of sunshine where hospitality, food retail can make a real go of it. And they're not selling just your everyday fare. They're selling, you know, premium steaks, seafood, high input costs. A lot of those restaurants do their ordering on a Thursday afternoon.
Correct.
So you can imagine how diabolical it was when Friday they announced the snap lockdown. There was hundreds of thousands of dollars just down the drain, food wasted. And I think, again, feeding into that broader picture of lost confidence that we've got to get back. We've got to get people back into office workplaces, because that's where our food retailers are really struggling from that loss of foot traffic in the CBD at the moment. I know we're not going to go back to the old pre-COVID normal.
Yep.
It might be a hybrid of home and office for some people, but we've got to get back on the horse and give our small business in Australia employs over 40% of the workforce.
I was going to say we should also be very careful. The landlords, they've been under enormous duress too. Yeah. You and I have talked about landlords, and especially for small businesses and others. You're expected to keep the business functioning. Yeah. You've got to pay all the bills. The lights have got to stay on. The refrigerators have got to stay on. The whole box of dice, and yet nothing's coming in the door. Yeah. And it's not something that you engineered. Yeah. It was a government decision, both state and federal government, to close things down to contain the contagion. And here we are. So artificially we've done all that. Now artificially we've got to stimulate. And as you say, March, everyone's telling us that the stimulation packages are going to be slowly withdrawn. Now that changes confidence, the thing we need, changes the flow of money, So what happens?
Yeah.
What can you... Read me the tea leaves. You've been talking to a whole bunch of people. You said to me before we started, you're getting a great buzz out of seeing regional Victoria and regional Australia starting to reflect on, in a very positive light, some good things. But you know what? Unless all the borders stay open, unless we start getting New Zealand visitors and visitors from other parts of the world, that great tourism that's given Victorian regions such great courage, confidence and wealth, it's not going to be around.
No.
So where do we go then?
I mean, in good times, commercial leasing issues are a barbecue stopper of a conversation topic for my members, and when I go around and talk to them, they are a stopper. They're a business stopper. So you can imagine right now, and when you talk about JobKeeper in March, what's tied to that, which the state governments have done through COVID, is provide commercial leasing relief, but that finishes at the end of March as well.
And they've offered, vouchers to get people back into maybe the hotels in the city. I haven't seen too many of those, options being offered up. Maybe in the initial batch, we certainly saw them offered to regional Victoria, but maybe they've got to, do a bit of a rejig and start to give the hotels in the city, which many of them have been closed.
Yeah, and that's how you get people into Victoria. You know, those little coffee carts that you see at the base of big commercial buildings in Melbourne, those coffee outlets, they can be paying up to $100,000 a year in rent. Now, I think we're going to come to the end of March, those state relief schemes are going to come off, and people are going to be having, $250,000 loans leveraged against their house with very limited wiggle room. So we need to be able to tackle that issue as well. But I think it comes back to safely managing the health challenge that we've got, but getting the economy back on track as well.
Look, Australia has done an extraordinary job when you consider what's happened around the world. There's no two ways about it. The Americans lost track of the contagion and it got out of hand, as did the Italians and the French, as we saw in the early days of COVID. Britain, of course, still getting across it. They've rolled out the vaccine and it's making a dent. It really is. We need to see it happen much, much better than that. But we have really got to start showing some not some nous, you said it earlier, a little bit of courage. We seem to have been startled well and truly, and we've done incredibly well. Let's now be smart. Let's maintain all the things that we've learned. Hygiene, I still think we're not really sharp enough about that. I went to the test match, the opening day of the test match at the MCG, and a lot of people, well-intended, I still went to the bathroom, and while I'm washing my hands, I'm watching people going in and out without washing their hands. So what is it about us that we know what to do, but we're not plugged in to actually do it?
Yeah, absolutely, and you don't want to go into a false sense of complacency.
No.
But I think on courage, small business people are the most courageous people I know. I mean,
because it's their hard earned.
To mortgage your house, to get up every morning, to give other people a shot at a job, to give back to your community, employ people, look after your customers, that's what small business is all about. And they want to play that role in getting us back on track, but they need support. And by support, the biggest thing they need is clarity and certainty from state government.
Fantastic. If there was one or two things that you'd like to see done ASAP, what would they be, Mary Aldred?
I think three things. One, we need to sort through very quickly commercial leasing issues. We can't just face a cliff face, at the end of March where you're going to see businesses close. We need to be able to work through that, provide people with some dignity. If they are going to move their premises or close their premises without having, just a decade of debt ahead of them. So I think that's a big thing. I think we need to get people back into workplaces. Even if it's a hybrid, we need that foot traffic. We need to be able to support our retailers. And then I think we need to have a broader conversation around, so we're not going to go back to pre-COVID old way of doing things. We're having massive population shift into our regional areas. That feeds into discussions around how do you manage planning, population.
Is that sustainable? I know people suddenly see Apollo Bay and Ballarat and Bendigo as exciting places. Now, if only the infrastructure was there already, then we could control it. But it's going to throw a real spanner in the works if government has to start spending huge amounts of money to try and make that an easier transition.
Well, I think that third point really around, I think our regions are going to help get us through this. So if we can start having international students back safely, we've got some fantastic regional universities like Federation. We can get this authentic Australian lifestyle experience, be embraced by a local community, and work in a business.
The campus at Geelong is just tremendous facility. Deacon's doing and has done some tremendous work down there. Look, you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. Look, please come and talk to us in the next few months. Let's see how much of what you've been saying is picked up on or absorbed and used to spark a real rush, because we need the confidence, we need the people, and we need to believe in one another again, don't we?
And we will and we can. We're Victorians, we're Australians. We're good at resilience, at ingenuity, and just seeing it through to the finish. And I think, to use a footy parlance, we're going to kick it through by a country mile, but we need to pull together and act as a one national community.
Which football team do you support again?
Mighty Fighting Hawks.
I was going to say, Mary Aldred, loved having you here, but as a Carlton man, I can't say that. Love you lots. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, George.
Good on you.